What's up, y'all? It's your girl ZZ back again with another video. And as you can see, baby, we doing it a little different this time. We got our good brother Afro Elite here with us. How you doing today, brother?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Thank you for having me. Thank you. This is going to
That's
be a
not
really good collab. I'm excited for it.
Of
How you
course,
doing?
we get together. We always cooking. We always
Yeah.
cooking.
Oh yeah. All the time.
You
All
know,
the time. Everything
you
we
ain't
do
nothing.
is popping. Everything.
Come on, okay. So we gonna be we here. We doing something a little different this time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually going to be reviewing. I've done a couple reviews of shows my time on the internet, and movies, things of that nature. But this
Mm-hmm.
is my first time collaborating with somebody and reviewing a show, so this should be interesting. But the show we're going to be reviewing today is called Young Love. Okay, now this is a show new on HBO Max. It's based off a short film actually that was called Hair Love. It was based that film was like Oscar award winning, and it was about a young black man doing his young black daughter's hair. Very short, very cute. I think it went viral on the internet too. People, you at least seen a clip of it, or became a book. Big thing. Okay, it came from this little short film. But now they recently made a spinoff of it, which is a series. Okay, and now it's not just based off the young man and his daughter, but their entire family. So we have Zuri, who is the main character, basically. She's the child. Then we have her dad, Steven, who's being played by Kid Cudi. We also have the mother, Angela, who's being played by Issa Rae. And they're all in one household together. And also some of the other main characters is like their grandparents, his mom, the other grandmother on Steven's side. He has like a nephew or something like that, and a couple other characters. Star, who's like his assistant or his manager. But overall, pretty good show. It's a family show, all black characters. I think everybody being voiced is black. It's a couple recognizable voices. Like I said, Issa Rae, Kid Cudi, Loretta Devine is playing the grandmother. So it's a lot of supposed FBA energy from what we know. It was supposed to be a FBA family from we get. They don't have any Caribbean or African, anything like. They don't bring any of that into the show. It's only Black American from what we see. So when you first saw the show, I watched it. And I put my brother on to it. I told him you need to check it out. Okay. So when you first watched it after you finished the season, because it's only like I think 10 episodes, and if it's only one season, it's 10 episodes. What was your first thoughts when you first seen it?
Well, I had a mixed response to it. I liked it. There was a lot of elements that I liked and I wanted to see in other future shows. But there were some things that I'm like some subliminal things. Like if you blink, you'll miss it type things. And because I peep that stuff and I talk about this type of stuff all of the time and subliminal messages and stuff like that all of the time, I was able to spot like every single one of them, or at least to my knowledge, all of them. But overall, to be honest with you, I enjoyed the show. I didn't think the show was bad. I enjoyed the show. I liked the characters. I thought that the characters were unique. One of the things that I liked about it was the fact that it was based out of Chicago. I think I'm a little biased with that, but I like it. That's my initial thoughts. I would say if you're a parent and you want to watch it with your kid, it's not like Family Guy or anything like that, where his kids shouldn't be watching it, but you should definitely be supervising your kid because there are some things that pop up that you might need to pause it and talk to him about a little bit.
Absolutely. I had basically the same thoughts as for when I initially seen it. I thought it was overall, I enjoyed it. Even going through when I was making my notes, when I was just going back, skimming through some of the episodes, just to see if I missed anything, I wanted to pick up something, anything else I want to talk about. Most of my notes, I was like, damn, I got hella notes that are positive. Like it's a lot of positive things about the show. I kind of rock with. I can't hold you. It's a lot of things I like about the show, which we'll get into first. But like you said, it was a couple things that I called. Okay, and I was like, nigga, okay. And I actually, even when I first initially watched the show, I was packing, getting ready for a trip, and my niece was in here with me. Matter of fact, it was before we went to Atlanta. I think when I first seen it, that's what I told you about. We was in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, when we were doing the For the Culture thing.
Exactly. Hashtag For the Culture. Make sure you go check that out. Okay. But yeah, when I was packing for that, I was watching that night when I was packing my suitcase, and my niece was in here watching it with me, and it was like a couple things, and I had to stop and be like, nah, or like just kind of talk over the thing, like, nah, what you mean? I'm like, because we don't, like, that ain't it. I had to kind of like deter her from like that programming. Okay. But overall, like you said, I did feel the same way. I thought it was a pretty good show. What are some of the things that you that stuck out to you that you really did like about, that you really enjoyed about the show?
Then, well, besides the Chicago thing, I must say one of the things that I really enjoyed about the show was the fact that everybody was black. You know, in a lot of TV shows or especially cartoons where the family is black, the family will be black, but then all of the other side characters won't be black. Pretty much in this show, everybody was black. There was maybe a couple episodes or something where you had like a white lady here or there in a couple of episodes, but for the most part, the entire season, everywhere you went was black, and you could tell it was in a black neighborhood. The school was black, all the kids were black. What they'll do in a lot of cartoons where you have a black main character is that the main character will be black and their best friend will be white, and everybody else around them is white. That's kind of what we're used to seeing, but we didn't see that with this. And that's something that I think was good to see. And we want to see more of that, because when the main character is white, they're not white and everybody else is black. They're white and everybody else is white. But then when the main character is black, they're black and everybody else is white. So it's good to kind of see a black family around other black people. That's something I really liked about it.
I love the fact that they got the mother and the father. Okay, now they're not married. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, we will.
But the fact that they actually that they did bring a mother in when it was initially just about the father and the daughter, I love that. You know, I love the fact that they got the grandparents, like it's actually like black family oriented, and with the mother, the father, and the daughter in the household, the child in the household. I like that, especially with kids shows, things that specifically targeted just for children. A parent is always dead, whether it's black, white, whoever the hell.
Yeah, that's
one
true.
of the parents is always dead, you know. So, or it's like a mixed thing, you know. It's a white mom, black dad, black mom, white, you know, Hispanic, something like that. You know, it's not usually black. You know, everybody in the family is black. So I really love the fact that they kept that part. You know what I'm saying? That the main characters, the main family members are all black and black American, from what we understand.
Even if they weren't black American, they didn't force any, you might not know. One of them might be Haitian or Jamaican or whatever the case is, but you didn't see no Haitian flag or Nigerian flag anywhere. So there's no indication that there's anything but black Americans all throughout the show. In all of the episodes, even though they were living together, both the parents were still very active in the kid's life. Yeah. It's not like the show is about the mom and the daughter, and then the dad comes in work or whatever the case, and you don't really get to see him. I do like the fact that all of the characters somewhat have an arc to them,
true,
individually, but their arcs all connect with each other.
For sure. Yeah, that's true. I like that, especially even with the father, because I'm not trying to get to the man, but
a little bit. We don't want to jump the gun. So yeah.
Right, I don't want to jump the gun yet. Get to what I did like. But even with the father, initially, like I said, I did like the show, but the father was like, they always try to make, especially in new age films, they always try to make the dad like incompetent or goofy, immature, less emotionally, mature, or just sane. I don't know what the exact word is, but it's not equivalent to the mother when it comes to
not as competent.
Exactly. It's not the same. So but I do like the fact that throughout the show they kind of address it, especially with the grandparents. I love that dynamic they have with the grandparents and the parents. They show like the differences in old school parenting and the new age parents, and how the grandparents kind of deal with situations versus how the parents do. And even with them having with the father, I like how they kind of how they wrote his character arc, because they used the grandfather and even the young character, young boy. I forgot I think that's like his cousin or his little brother, something like that. I forgot. That comes in, but they kind of use him, even the little Ankh dude, little rapper. They kind of use all the different generational black men to kind of help build this character, so affect them in different ways. So I really enjoyed it, even with the mother too. The daughter, the grandmother, the people, the ladies at the hair salon, everybody was kind of used to help within their character, the building of their character. So I really did enjoy that, especially the grandparents aspect. I really like that.
Yeah. I will say something else I like too. I know a lot of people who make music, make their own beats, and make their own lyrics and everything like that. In the story, the dad, he makes beats and he sells the beats and everything, which can be lucrative, but it can be very hard because there's a lot of people who are trying to do that.
Right.
Now, in the show, it shows the dad actually like trying to be a hardworking parent and do this at the same time, because there's a narrative that goes around that, especially when black men try to get up in the music industry, when they try to rap, when they try to make beats, when they try to do anything, that's because they don't want to get a real job, or because they're lazy, they don't have a good work ethic or anything like that. In the show, it shows the difficulties of that, but it also does go to show he's not doing this as a scapegoat. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a passion for him, and a dream of his. It's not like a get rich quick scheme like the narrative is painted out to be.
Right. They address that head on. Again, that goes back to the point of the grandparents, because the grandfather, although he's like hard on him, which I like, he's really hard on him about, he always throwing like little shade or little funny jokes towards him, about him being unstable or not being a provider and things of that nature. But even in one of the, I think it's like this, it's towards the end. I want to say it's like the 7th episode. And he's going through like he's going through this whole season with this rapper Lil Unk or whatever, had going up and down, having up and downs with him the whole season, and he gets to a point where Lil Unk is like, well, shit, if you don't need me, then find somebody else to do it. He's like goes through like this whole depression kind of thing, and it takes the grandfather to kind of give him words of encouragement, to tell him like, yeah, man, I believe in you. Like we found out that he used to do music. He's like, I used to do music, but that was just something I did. This is something that you are. Like, you are, this is your passion. This is something you really want to do. That wasn't my passion, and if this is, I can see it in you that it's different for you than it was for me. So I really believe in you. So I did enjoy that aspect, that they even gave him something like a purpose, something to drive him. It wasn't just something, like you said, it was just a BS thing for him to pick up because he wasn't making no money,
Yeah.
So I really did enjoy that. And even with the instability thing that you brought up, they bring that up with both parents, because like with the brother, like you said, the music thing, it kind of goes up and down. He kind of got money one episode, did he get paid, then the father take all the money for rent, he broke again, so he goes through that. But also with the mother, although she's she does hair, she works in a salon, she does hair. She her story, part of her story arc is like, or her character arc is her coming from or recovering from cancer, so she stepped like literally right from the first episode. We're seeing her kind of struggle, go back to work, nervous about being around people, about going and participating back, getting back into her old routine, and then throughout the season we kind of see her go through these different ups and downs where she's like, she joined the pyramid scheme to sell hair products. Then she started to become a streamer. She got a whole family to move in the house. She becomes a streamer. Then she does this whole bucket list thing, what she got to do. So it's like she has her instability in a kind of sort of a different way. It's kind of like a she's trying to find her purpose, whereas he kind of knows his. So in that sense, he's not as chaotic as her, or unstable as her, but she's just as unstable as him when it comes to her actually finding what she really wants in life, because she doesn't really know. And I think that's actually kind of like that aspect, because it's so many Black women, that are feeling the same way, and not even realize that your purpose is right in front of you. Your child or your man needs your purpose right there, baby. She running is crazy, because we get to like the last episode when they about to get married, and she's scared that she's going to become this dormant housewife that doesn't have a purpose, but just to be a housemaid and stuff like that. She thinks that's what her daughter's going to fall into. But it's like, you don't even realize that, baby, that's what's going to help ground you in your purpose. That's what's going to help, lead you to what you really need to be doing. You're just floating around trying to do everything. And it's like, that's so representative of what so many, especially young Black women, do today. So I did like that aspect, even though I don't like us doing that. I did like that they put that in there, because I think it's relatable,
Yeah. And it's good to have that conversation. I like stuff like this that, it kind of breaks from what you would typically imagine would be in a show, like, oh, I'm being, bullied at school or something like that. But it also shows like problems going on in school, and then it also shows stuff going on in the house, and it's a balance of the both. And what I like about what you were just talking about the mother, her situation, because not that I enjoy her going through any problems or anything like that, but we have this narrative out that the Black woman is sitting up there leading the household and she got her head on straight. She's making all the money. And the black man is just kind of like a second child. He's not the child, but he's almost a child. He's incompetent. He's uneducated. He's undriven, undisciplined. Is not making any money. But you can see that and this is just kind of typical when it comes to black relationships. Both people have problems. They both have their own individual problems. You know what I'm saying? Even though one is struggling to really get on to his purpose, another one might be kind of lost in the recovery aspect, in the trauma aspect. So that's more realistic than what the narrative is.
Just in general for the show as well, it does touch on a lot of different social issues, and even racial issues to go with that. They go from religion. I kind of did actually really enjoy that religion episode just because it showed, again, a difference in the grandparents. They like the little girl, she need Jesus. They trying to get her ass to church. And the new age parents is like, well, what's the big deal? Like, just pray. It's like that is a very, we were just talking about that on the hashtag for the culture podcast event, the lack of spirituality that some of many of us don't have. A lot of children don't know how to pray, they don't have a connection with God or a higher being, something. And so that I like that they threw that aspect in there, but they go from religion, they go from like homelessness to classism to, it's a lot of different layers they kind of touch on. And I think for the most part, most of it was like easily digestible. Like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, shit, really like an 8-9-year-old could pretty much get the concept of what they were saying without having to use big words, even like classism. They might not understand that term, but if they see it play out on the show, they'll kind of understand what the gist is. Like I said, I did like some of the side characters. I like Lil Unc. I think, matter of fact, Lil Unc too. I liked him because I think he was, again, representative of the fake woke spirituality that some of these young new generation is practicing. Where it's like they're kind of trying to raise their consciousness, so they learn about some history. Maybe they're trying to meditate, whatever the case may be, but also they're self-centered, kind of like egomaniacs, inconsiderate, wasteful.
Yeah, so, exactly. They claim to be spiritual, so they can kind of cherry pick what rules they want to follow and what rules they don't want to follow. Like when it comes to giving somebody their money back, it's like, well, money isn't everything or whatever the case is. But then we all like, well, God has blessed me with this money, and they cherry pick. And that's something we see a lot of people in this generation, they do. And then they use what they claim to be spirituality to put them on this like moral pedestal so they can't be criticized for it.
Right. So yeah. But again, I think it's relevant. Okay. It's a lot of young people walking around doing that same thing. So I did like that. And even another side character was the principal. And he's a black man. We let us see it. Okay. From what we know, again, probably FBA. And we find out, I'm a little suspicious though, because I like him because he was fair, he was kind, he was understanding towards the children. He had a couple scenes with Zuri that was like, it was cool and it was kind of funny. But we found out in the last episode that he's married or he's engaged. But I'm like, damn, this whole season we ain't seen him with nobody. How he engaged? Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know, I might mess around next season,
it might be a surprise in season 2 or something like that.
Who you marrying? Because why the hell we found out on the last episode that you engaged? Who you engaged to?
Ain't no picture of him and no girl. I can see if it was on the desk or on the wall and a picture of him. Like, I'm engaged, and you can put 2 and 2 together. But you're like, oh, okay.
But, who is this man by the curve? We have literally no clue.
Yeah, a white man named Bob or something like
that. They'll wait till the second season to throw something out. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but that is something that I should be looking out for, and that's why you got to watch it with your kids. You know what I'm saying? Or your nieces, your nephews. So if a white man do pop up, be all like, "I'm his fiance," be all like, "See, we don't do that shit." You know what I'm saying? You gotta correct it.
Exactly.
But that's bad. You know what I'm saying?
Come on now. So I'm like, I don't know how they're gonna spin that and that going forward in the next season, but I wasn't sure about that. And I'm gonna say the last thing as far as things that I like is that the little girl is actually, and this is kind of both actually, because it's something I do like and don't like. Mm-hmm. But as far as the aspect that I do like of is that the little girl is kind of aware for her age. Like she kind of point, like even in the first episode, she points out the fact that she notices the fact that her mom is like hella nervous to go to work. like nervous to go back to work. Like she's like, you know, she can tell, you know, that her energy is off. She's driving around the school 2-3 times. Like she can just tell, you know, her mother's trying to play it off, but the little girl can tell, you know, and that happens a few times throughout the season, you know, that she's kind of picking up on the adult themes, you know.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that. I kind of like it only because, again, I think it's relevant to so many children today because they got easy access to information just when they can swipe up and learn about pretty much anything. I think a lot of children are learning a bit quicker or catching on to things that we didn't catch on when we was younger. You know, they got a little bit more, they're a little less naive than we were as children, you know.
I agree.
You know,
and that's more realistic. I like almost to a degree how modern the show is, even though because a lot of the Black family shows, those are like way set back in like the 90s and everything like that. And we have to come to the realization that the Black family dynamic is very different in a lot of aspects than what it was back in the day, you know, where kids were all like, well, what does this mean? What does this mean? You know what I'm saying? Kids aren't really asking that question anymore because they kind of already know. Now, some kids know before they should know that, and that's a problem. But there are kids who are less curious than we were growing up in like the 90s and the early 2000s.
Now, again, overall good show. We let us see it. But we got to get into the cons. We got to get into what we didn't like. Okay, it was definitely a couple things that I wasn't feeling. Okay, and I'm pretty sure we're on the page about a few of them. All right, so what's just off the top? What's some of the first things that you stuck out most to you that you was like, nah, they could have left this out?
Okay, the nephew. I'm just off the top of my head, because I don't want to go like the most extreme yet, but I'm gonna say the nephew. When I first saw him, you know, I'm thinking like, okay, this is cool because you can see a Black male figure kind of guiding the younger generation. So it's like almost 3 different generations, and it could have been done really good. But then the kid had nail polish on. He had first he had black nail polish in the first couple episodes I think he was in, and then it went to pink nail polish.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I'm like, because to be honest, that is something I'm starting to see where Black dudes, young, not grown men, but like kind of like early 20s, late teens, and they got this like goth thing going on, and they're wearing nail polish. I'm not liking that. I'm not liking that, and I don't want that to be perpetuated because I think he's the uncle, right? The uncle said something, uncle or cousin. I think he's the uncle. He said something about it because I think young Unc says something, and he's all like, "Oh, he's trying to find himself," and then the young kid, I think the nephew, kind of almost like snaps off on him for saying something about his nails, and I was like, okay. I don't like that because then he gets all apologetic, like, oh yeah, I understand. Like, I don't like that because as an adult, especially as a mentor, as a Black male who is mentoring other Black men, you can't be this passive. Well, I understand whatever you want to do. I'm here to support you, and I'm here to support whatever way you want to live your life. They need guidance, and not guidance in a way of patting them on the back and letting them know that everything that they do is going to be acceptable. I'm not saying be physically or mentally abusive to the kid, but there's a way to be firm, like, hey, this is not something you should be doing. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't get that from him. I got a lot of passiveness when it came to his nephew. Now, I get it's not his son, but if that's his uncle or even just an older Black male in his family, he should have been more assertive with masculinity.
Absolutely, I completely agree because that I was not feeling that either, you know. And again, like you said, it is still relatable or like relative to, you know, some of the young men of the new generation. I feel like he didn't have to be one of the reoccurring characters. Like that they could have just used the episode to kind of show that, you know, like maybe they still kept the nephew. The nephew is more masculine, but maybe he has a friend or a cousin from out of town that comes in who's like that, something to that effect. You know, you don't have to make one of the only, you know, main young male Black characters effeminate like that, you know, and then the other one who's supposed to be more masculine is like this fucking fake hotep, you know, type, intellectual, you know what I'm saying? It's like arrogant ass ego maniac, you know. It's like there's no middle ground of the average young brother, you know. I'm not You know, it's like they're not really on either side of that spectrum. The average young brother, it's usually a mix of both. You know. So I wasn't really. I felt like they could have, even if they was going to put that in, they could have just used it again for a lesson in an episode or something like that, maybe to teach some sort of tolerance. You know, they like to do that. Even I wouldn't have been feeling that, but at least it would have just been for an episode, not reoccurring. Because, like you said, they do that. I remember that episode where they had that conversation, you know, and he says something about the nails, like, "Oh yeah, this is the phase he's going through." He's like, "It's not a phase. This is what I like." But even it gets to a point, it might have been in the same episode where, like, at the end, he ends up painting Zuri nails. So it's like, now you're teaching your child that this is acceptable, you know, for a man to do. You know, you're not only putting that program and allowing that program to go into the young man, but now it's going to the little girl as well, that this is something acceptable. You know, her own father doesn't do that, you know?
Yeah.
And her grandfather damn sure ain't going for it. He's supposed to be old school FBA. You know, he damn sure ain't going for that. So I really wish, like you said, he had been more upfront, you know, stern, more stoic within that. You know, it wouldn't have just been some passive, "Oh yeah, we just, you know, do it and live life how you want," you know. And that's honestly something throughout the show that I didn't like either, is that even though they bring up certain things that's relatable to the new generation, it's like, y'all didn't get to the point of why it's unhealthy, you know. Like, even with the instability thing, like with the father, you know, how we talked about him not really like him having a passion for music, you know, and that's something that he want to do. That's like his purpose. But it's also like, you know, that you're not making enough money. So it's like, I get that you want to put all your energy towards this, but also, nigga, go get a job. What the hell? We supposed to be living in La La Land. Like, if this was real life, he would have a job and also be doing it. You know, like, that would have been better for us to see, for him to be working hard 9 to 5 and then coming straight home and still working. You know, that'll kind of make us cheer for him a little bit more. You know,
I agree. And I thought initially that's kind of because all of the characters seemed like they were having character arcs, progressive character arcs, where they were going to evolve towards the end, but it wound up being like this cycle.
Yeah.
And I was feeling that way with the dad in the show. Like, okay, maybe he's gonna realize that, okay, I can do this, but I'm gonna, because he was having money problems from the beginning.
Literally. Yeah.
So, you know, I can do this, but I still need to do this on the side to kind of balance out my life. Because you can tell really in the family, it wasn't, or I'm going to speak on the dad right now. The dad isn't really well balanced, because realistically, if you're a grown man with a child, living in the house with a child and a woman, and you got to pay rent or whatever the case is, you can't just, you chase dreams, but you have to be based, your money has to be based on something. You have to have constant money coming in.
Yeah.
You get your brand up there, you know what I'm saying? You can't rely 100% on that. And I thought that was where his arc was kind of going.
Yeah.
But it didn't wind up going there. I thought with the nephew, the arc was going like, if in the show, his dad was dead. And I thought that, okay, well, maybe this is kind of like a lost black kid, and that's why his nails are like that. But the more he's around his uncle, he starts becoming more like his uncle, but that didn't happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is his character. And then it got worse because it was black nails at first. And it was like then he was like pink something. And he was sitting in the car. Remember that scene where he was sitting in the car with young Unc? He was like, "Man, what color are your nails?" And something. He was
right.
I'm like, okay. What is that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I didn't like that.
In the first episode, he's like, you know, I'm working on this thing for my career. You know, some, you know, I'm trying to be a producer. And she's like, I didn't even know dad had a career. Dad has a career. Like, what the hell are you talking about, little girl? You know, it's like little smart remarks like that. It's like, I would have got popped in the mouth.
Yeah.
You know, little shit like that, I was not getting away with as a child. Okay. Like being shady towards the parents. It's like, I don't know. It's like you just a little too grown for your age. You saying she's only supposed to be 6, you know, so it's not even like she's a teen with a smart ass mouth. That'd be a little bit different. But baby, you're 6 years old. What the hell do you know about it? Do you even know what a career is? It's like, you know.
Yeah. And a lot of the witty comebacks and stuff like that we're seeing, I was like, that's I don't know, not an FBA family, not at 6 years old. You a little bit too witty to your parents. You know what I'm saying? Because I know our folks, they'll be real quick with you, be all like, hey, stay in the child's place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
I did not get that from that. Now, what's interesting is with the grandmother is like, even though she's above, you know, in her age, you didn't see that like peer relationship with the grandmother as you saw with the mom.
Right.
Like she's talking to the mom like that's her friend. And I'm like, that the new age parenting, we want to be friends with our kids stuff. That's not helpful. That's not good parenting. I don't think.
That's a fact. And you know, again, it's still relevant because that is like you said, there's some new age parenting, you know, type things. It's trying to be friendly with your children or trying to be friends with them. But I wish they would have kind of emphasized that more, you know. So I wish they would have had an episode, you know, because they do have like an episode where they're talking about her behavior and they kind of go into that, but that's when they kind of turn the episode into them getting married. That's that last episode. But I wish they would have addressed that kind of halfway through, where the grandparents could have kind of stepped in. And maybe the grandfather tried to whoop her, but then the father's like, no, whoop her, we're not whooping the kids, you know. So like, and try to find a healthier way to kind of set boundaries and respect levels, without maybe having to be so abrasive or like, you know, borderline abusive, you know, like that, but still setting the tone that, look, we're the parents, you are the child, you know, like it's going to be, even if you got to fear us, baby, you gonna respect us. You gonna respect us one way, never. It's not about to go like that. You know, that's, I wish they would have kind of took that time to kind of emphasize that within the show. Just to at least give it some balance, because even if you are going to display the new age parents, and okay, fine, but at least, again, put some balance in it. Give us the grandparents, you know what I'm saying? It's something, you know, she give us why she respects the grandparents more than the parents, you know, something, so that way we can see the balance, see the, you know, find the middle ground within it, you know.
I fully agree with you, and I think you made a really good point, because there wasn't, even though our generation is probably going to raise our kids differently than the other generation, the past generation. I mean, the thing is that in the show, she gets in trouble a couple of times, like with her school, or she was painting walls and stuff like that with her cousin. She gets in trouble a couple of times, and she doesn't even get like a firm talking to, like, hey, don't you ever do this, go to your, like, even a new age parenting where you just go to the room and take the TV away or something like that. She doesn't even get that. It's like the second she kind of gets in trouble, it's like a witty little comeback and the joke gets plit and everything is fine. You know what I'm saying? Like the balance of, okay, shit, because it's a little kid and we understand, and the little kid's gonna be just doing shit. The little kid, that's just what little kids do. So of course you ain't gonna be as firm and you know, disciplinarian. You're not gonna be like that over a 6-year-old versus if they were like 13 years old. You know what I'm saying? But there was really no sense of discipline from the parents when it came to her at all. There was one point where she was all like, well, the mom got mad and she was like, I'm not one of your little friends, because something like that with a joke or something like that, where they were playing like a Halloween episode or something. And then she left, and then she was like, I feel bad for saying that. I'm like, why do you feel bad for saying that? You like regretted saying that. Now I thought that was a good point, but then she like kind of took it back. I'm like, what are you doing?
Even with like some of the sexual innuendos, or like even if they weren't sexual, just some of the adult themes they had within it, they tried to speak on around her that she kind of caught on to. Like they said, there was one scene when it was like, she was, when the mother was doing a bucket list, the episode she was like trying to do a bucket list, and she's like, yeah, you know, she doesn't tell him what he wants, she doesn't tell the father what she wants him to do with her. She's just like, yeah, you know, I can't get all hot, sweaty, and entangled with just anyone. And he's like, oh, really? Oh, so we get hot, sweaty. And she's like, there's a child in the room. And it's like, girl, what the fuck? How the fuck you know?
You're not supposed to, you supposed to be curious. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to know they flirting. What are you doing?
You're supposed to be like, what y'all getting hot sweaty for? I don't understand. They're supposed to be like, nothing. We about to damn play basketball. You know,
and what's crazy, if they would have did exactly what you did, that would have been funny.
Literally.
If she was like, what are you guys talking about? And they'd be like, oh shit, there's a child in the room. You know what I'm saying? That kind of would have been funny, not the kids stopping the parents from flirting, like, hey, what y'all doing is inappropriate. And I'm like, that kind of was like, yeah, that's I don't know, that didn't land. That did not land.
It wasn't it for me. I'm like, they could have wrote it better, you know. Even with like the teacher they had, the teacher was like she's one of the reoccurring characters as well.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like one of these women. Again, I kind of like the representation because again, it's just relative to a lot of black women today. Young black woman, I think she's probably mid-20s. She's a young teacher, which is also relevant because a lot of new young teachers out here, okay, which is the problem. It's a good thing, but a lot of bad things come with that as well.
That needs to be a whole nother video.
Literally, I mean, seriously, we could do a whole other video.
Yeah.
but yeah, still again relative to today.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't mind it, but she's a young black woman and she's, on this search, or I don't know, it's weird because it's like she's on a search for a man. So like, they kind of make this point, like the children even are saying little things like, she's like, guess what, y'all? And they like, you finally got a man, like the children kind of know, that she's in this search for this man. But also it's weird because one, I don't like the fact that they know about her dating life. That's weird. Okay?
Yeah, I agree.
She ain't married. Y'all don't need to know what she got going on. She looking for a man or not. Why does she even know that? Why do the kids know that information? That's not okay. But even besides that, it's weird how they kind of wrote her character because it's like you looking for a man, but then you got this simp ass Negro, the hair salon dude who's chasing after her, who comes to her job with damn a bouquet full of balloons and playing music, soft music, just shouting his love for her, and she's like, we're supposed to be like vampires. This is supposed to only be at nighttime. I'm going to see your razor and your what you call it. I'm like, what the fuck? What?
Yeah, like that hookup thing. You know what I'm saying? The dude is sitting up there like falling in love with a hookup, and folks was kind of telling him about that. And I didn't know it was the teacher. I was like, oh, when I saw it was the teacher, I was like, damn, why would they do it like that?
Yeah,
they literally could have made a brand new character.
Seriously,
you know what I'm saying?
Because it only lasted for that episode. We don't really hear anything about them two having any other entanglements throughout the rest of the season. So I'm like, why would they write it like that? If she looking for a man, why not get the man that's after you? I'm confused.
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying, like, that don't make sense to me. You're not, and then you do it in front of the kids' school. It's just weird. I don't know. I just don't like the way they played that.
I didn't like that either. There was another thing when the parents were like in the room and they were like making a calendar or something like that. And you were hearing like a whole bunch of like grunting and moaning and stuff like that. And at first I'm like, are they having sex? Are the parents having sex? And the kid walks in and then you find out they're not having sex. And I guess that was supposed to be the punchline. Like, no, we're just making a calendar or whatever.
Right.
And the kid, I forgot exactly what she says, but she says something like, well, I've walked in on you all before. She says something like that, like I've seen it before. Like I was like, okay. And then that nothing gets said about that. The parents kind of look kind of dumb, and then nothing gets said about that. It wasn't like, don't make sure you knock or nothing like that. It was just like a dumb look the parents had.
Little girl, I ain't like the fact that they had her. Well, this was really because of the mother. The mother claims to be a feminist. So then the little girl was claiming to be a feminist. They had this whole episode where she's fighting to keep the damn coffee cake at her school, and she turned into fucking Angela Davis. I'm like, Lord Jesus. Okay, look, we all know where y'all chose Angela Davis over Asada Shakur. We ain't gotta say it, but nigga, if you know, you know.
Like, out of all of the women you could have picked, you picked Angela Davis specifically. I'm like, okay.
Come on now. I'm like, really, nigga? Y'all got her dressed as the lady and all. I mean, it's like, it's no disrespect to the elder, but nigga, we know why y'all chose Angela Davis. Okay, we know. All right. So I just wasn't feeling that. Even in one of the pictures, in one of the scenes, I feel like it's the first episode. Matter of fact, I think it was the first episode. She's like taking a selfie with her. Oh no, it's not the first episode. I think it's like the fourth or fifth when she does when they do the whole gender role thing. And the grandfather is trying to do what the grandmother does. The grandmother is collecting rent like the grandfather does. And the little girl tags along with the grandmother. And she's like, we're taking a selfie. She's like, say Kamala Harris. I said, oh, hell nah. Kamala who?
Yeah. Like, that threw me. You told me about that. That's the craziest thing. When you told me about the show, you told me about that because you saw it. And I was like, what? And I don't know why I forgot about that. And then when I watched it again, she was like, Kamala Harris. I'm like, what? Ain't no black first, especially FBA. Ain't no FBA person sitting up there like Kamala Harris like that. Especially no little girl. You know, almost slightly would have maybe gave it a pass if she was like Michelle Obama.
Yeah,
If she would have
you know
said
what?
that, I would have been like, you know what?
Right.
I ain't mad. I ain't really mad at that. But
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, really?
Kamala? Stop it. If I'm not mistaken, you know what? I don't think they had no blatant, unless you peeped anything. I don't think they had no blatant like LGBT propaganda in there. Like I don't remember, other than like the little boy. But I don't remember them having like a blatant LGBT character. Not that I can remember.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I actually like that.
The closest was the dude, and all he had was the nails or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
He didn't express any other like feminine traits you could think. Like if his nails were just normal, he would have been a perfectly fine character, in my opinion. Yeah. It's just the nails that kind of threw me off with him. But besides that, he didn't have any like overtly feminine traits or anything like that.
I will give him some credit because although a lot of the black men, really damn near all of the black men in the show were kind of effeminate in some way, except for like the older black men, like the principal or the grandfather. Some of the older black men weren't that, but like the younger ones were kind of immature or goofy, you know, getting incompetent in some way, shape, or form, you know. But I will say they did add. I give them a little credit because they added a little context with the father, because we went in and like whenever we meet the little boy, we find out that his father left him at a young age, you know. Or actually that's the marriage episode. I think it's the last episode. We find out that his father left his family, so that's why he's having kind of anxiety about getting married, because he feels like, you know, he doesn't want to leave his family or his family to leave. He doesn't want to end up alone, you know. So that does kind of bring some context to why he acts the way he acts, why he's not as disciplined, why he's not as, you know, masculine and competent, things of that nature, because he didn't have a father in the home, you know. And so that kind of gives them a little more leeway to play with that with the child, you know, because now he's kind of figuring out on his own, you know, with the help of her father. So I would give him a little leeway with that, but I still don't like the fact, like, I don't know, maybe I feel like they could have gave him a friend. They could have just had a little more balance, because I feel like he needed a friend that was like a better example of what he should be doing, like a friend that was married, who had they don't even have a corporate job, but like a stable job.
Yeah, you know, if he had a neighbor or anything like that. Yeah. I think that would have been a really good. That's what I'm saying. I think his arc was going good. I liked it in the beginning, but then it kind of just went in this loop. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't feel like he matured at all from the beginning to the end of the show. It just kind of went in this cycle. Like if he would have had a well-to-do neighbor or something like that from across the street, and he got a nice car or whatever, goes to work and everything, and it would have reflected on, man, I'm trying to make it, but he's stable, so should I be more like him? You know, I think that dynamic would have been good. Or even like you said about the dad, or the fact that the dad's dad wasn't in his life, even if because the grandpa is the mom's dad. So even if the mom's dad kind of was all like, I don't really like you, but I'm gonna kind of teach you how to be a man, instead of, you know, even if like the first couple things was about the rent, but you saw more of the grandfather-father dynamic like you saw in the last episode, and he kind of matured through his stepdad, I guess, kind of stepdad, but we're gonna get into that, but you know what I'm saying.
But hold on,
I thought that would have,
stepdad? What are you talking about?
No, it's not his stepdad. My bad. His father-in-law.
Oh, okay, right.
His kind of father-in-law.
Yeah.
But you know, I thought that would have been a way better way to show his arc, but it just kind of didn't go. It didn't progress.
Yeah. You know, I didn't like that. Even that's what I was saying. It was never like It's like they approached the situation. They approached issues and didn't get down to like the root cause or like the main solution or the main purpose, you know, behind it. You know, like even with the marriage episode, I love the fact that they addressed the fact that they weren't married and the problems that come up. Even the fact that they centered the little girl as like being the reason of them getting married. Like, and the principal was like, you know, children that come from a nuclear family that parents is married, you know, they have a higher chance of like you know, prospering in life in high school and things like that. So he was kind of, you know, giving them reasons, you know, especially just motivating reasons for their child, how their child will benefit just from them being married. And although I understood why both of them had their reservations, it's like at the end of the day, I feel like they could have used the grandparents for the wisdom, but they should have brought it back to what's best. It's not really about what's best for y'all, it's about what's best for y'all as a unit.
Yep.
You know, like it went back from her feeling like a doormat, feeling like this oppressed woman, not wanting her child to feel like that, to him not wanting to be abandoned and not wanting to abandon his family. It's like, well, they should have brought it together. Like, look, I understand both y'all's reservations, valid reasons. But at the end of the day, y'all have a child. Now we got to think about what's best for her. What's best for her is that y'all motherfuckers already live together. Y'all been living together for 8 years. Y'all been together for 8 years. Y'all living together like y'all a married couple. You paying bills together like y'all a married couple. Y'all raising this child like, nigga, get married. You don't skip, fuck the wedding. Where's the ring? Let's get the papers. Damn the ring. Where's the papers? Let's make it legal. Let's put it on paper. Because you have to understand that you're not only committed to each other, you're committing to a higher purpose. This is for the progression of the community, of the family. It starts with y'all. So of course you're going to have your reasons why you might not want to do it, or you're scared, you're anxious. But at the end of the day, the purpose of wanting to build the community, to build families, to progress our people should be at the forefront of why you're getting married. You know what I'm saying? That's just on code. Shout out to Minnesota. That should have been put in there. Like it was too much about feelings and all this stuff. It's like, no. It's about more than that. It's about wealth, about business, about our community. That wasn't inputted into the show. I'm like, where's that at? Y'all tripping.
You are on 10 with that, because that analogy was perfectly said. And what you said before, they're already living together and have been living together, have a whole child in a relation. You guys are essentially this close to officially being married anyway. So this fear, this turmoil you're having about actually getting married really doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? And it should have been like they talked to both their, like the dad talked to the granddad, the mom talked to the grandma about, oh, well, you know what? I just don't feel comfortable with this. And then they all like, oh, you tripping. Like, why do you think that you're going to be a doormat if you're not a doormat now?
Exactly.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Or why do you think if you're not abandoning your kid and your family now, what would make you think that getting married is going to make you up? Like, why would you think that? You know, and then it could have been like, oh yeah, I am tripping. And that could have been a funny joke. And that could have been a good end of the story. But that didn't happen. Now I'm all like and that really goes into the modern times of people's kind of irrational fear of marriage. And they think like this marriage is almost like a prison sentence for whatever reason. Because essentially their life really fundamentally wouldn't change that much. It just would have been, like you said, it would have been for the family and for the stability of the family, to lock the family in and create a sense of stability and something that the children could look up to and get some guidance from the stability of the parents. You know what I'm saying? But besides that, the parents' life individually, it wouldn't have changed. Because they were already living together. Essentially,
yeah. So I'm like, I'm living like a married couple already. Why the hell is this such a big deal? Like literally, that doesn't, but again, that comes back into like the feminist mindset that the mother has. Because even when he proposed, she got that on one knee and proposed. Wait, I'm a feminist. I'm like, girl, really? Oh shit, not just get on one knee.
I did not. I'm like, that almost gives me the vibe that she, like, I don't like that. I don't like when women propose to men. I don't like that. I'm like, that's cringe. That's cringe-worthy to me personally. I do not like that. I'm like, why did she do that?
Come on.
That's not even funny. That's not funny.
It's like, come on. Y'all couldn't give us this one moment where he's, we being serious. He's really about to propose. She got to get on one knee. Come on, seriously. Then a little girl come in, she see it. She proposes to her little friend. I'm like, trying to get the little boy to marry her. I'm like, this ain't it. I'm not rocking with that. Okay, you trying to make this little girl grow up to be a little masculina, hyena. I'll destroy it. I ain't nobody. I'm not room for that. No.
Yeah, that is true. She was chasing after that dude. Like, I want to get married too. I'm like, that's not how normal kids operate. My parents are married, so I want to, like, no, because she was not doing that the whole show.
Yeah.
First off, they 6. They shouldn't be sitting up there putting that in the show anyway. But the thing is that it's not like her and this dude had like a little crush and then the parents get married and now she want to get married. It's like that just kind of came out of nowhere. Like, well, my parents are getting married, so I want to get like. that's not the reaction kids would have to that.
I gotta give them just a little bit of props for not putting that LGBT agenda BS in there. For the most part, nothing blatant again with the characters or anything like that, or even with like the flags or themes. They could have made one of the kids like that. They've done that before in children's shows. So I'm like, I was actually very surprised because that was the main thing I was looking for. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
To see if there was anything like that in there. So I was very surprised. And in the end, happy that they didn't have that in there. Now I don't know. It's only the first season. They could, how they do. They might be trying to reel us in just to set us up.
Get you warmed up. You know what I'm saying? The parents think like, oh, this is a cool show.
Cool. Family show.
You know what I'm saying? And then next is heavy with the propaganda.
Yeah.
The nephew got a boyfriend. The principal got a boyfriend. Everybody got a damn boyfriend except the women, right? The women are the only ones single.
Right. So I'm like, we're gonna see, I will say maybe the star character, because in the last episode during the wedding, she had on a suit. So I'm like, maybe they'll do something with her too. We'll see, because she didn't have any male interest, like love interest throughout the show either. She's just literally been on Steven, the father's ass the whole show. That's pretty much her thing, being a manager. But in the last episode, she is wearing a suit to the wedding. So I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna try and make her like a little stud next season or what. I'm gonna look out for that too. Overall, I do think the show is something. I don't think it's a kid show. I think it's more of like a family show. It's like it gives me like My Wife and Kids, a Bernie Mac, because Bernie Mac, them type of shows, they got little stuff in there too that's like, when we was young, we was watching it went over our heads. Looking back at it, I see all the shit in there. I'm like, damn, this was sent this in the show. When I was a kid, I had no clue. I didn't, all that stuff, all those little jokes and sexual and innuendo stuff like that went over my head. I didn't even pay attention to it. I didn't understand it. And so that's kind of understandable for family shows, because it's something you want to keep not only just the kids engaged, but you want to keep the parents or older people engaged as well. So I can understand having those some adult themes kind of thrown in there. But I don't think they should label it as a kid's show. It should be considered a family show. That's not something I would allow my nieces and nephews to watch without me being there or some sort of adult being there. Their parents, some adult needs to be around monitoring the show, because it's still like we talked about. It's a lot of themes in here that they can easily get tricked into. Like the feminism, that sort of propaganda. It can easily get tricked. They can get tricked into just thinking that this is normal, because they approach it as just like normal in the show. What's your final thoughts?
Well, I agree with you. It's not a bad show. I like the show. I like the show. It's not a kid show where you're just like putting this show on and then leaving the room as an adult, and there's no adult in there, because there are things that pop up that there needs to be an adult who say, okay, well, we don't do that, or we don't do this, or that's not cool. There needs to be someone there to kind of guide that, because we have to understand in modern times, children learn things faster than how we did when we were growing up. So when we watch shows and stuff like that, there would be certain jokes that my parents would crack up laughing to, and I would just be like, I don't know.
Right.
I didn't know what that was about. And and I asked them, they'd be like, oh, never mind, just watch the show. You know what I'm saying? Because they get it. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, all of the jokes everybody gets. Now the kids laughing at the same jokes the adults laughing at. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different element. And we also have to look at like shows like, for instance, Bernie Mac or My Wife and Kids and stuff like that. They had themes where the kids were going through certain things, like kids being rebellious or whatever, but they weren't necessarily trying to subliminally push propaganda. Like for instance, how we discussed earlier, the lack of the parental discipline that you had in the show. When you watch the Bernie Mac show, Bernie Mac was always like setting rules and setting laws in the house and stuff like that. You saw he was the authority in the house. He was always, telling people, okay, you in trouble, don't do this. You didn't see the whole kids telling Bernie what to do.
Right.
You didn't see that. Or even in My Wife and Kids, you saw the dad and the mom telling the kids what to do. You're in trouble. You didn't see that in this show. You know what I'm saying? So there are certain elements that are in Black families and need to be in Black families that they're trying to erode from TV shows about Black families.
What's your rating out of 10?
Overall, To me, I'm gonna say when I'm watching it just as an adult, no kids around or anything, I enjoyed the show. I would put it like at a good maybe 6. Maybe 6.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm in agreement. I would say 6 out of 10. That's what I would give it to, for sure.
So
I think it was cool. But yeah, y'all don't take our word for it. Y'all go check the show out again. Issa Rae. I don't, it's on HBO Max. It ain't black. Okay.
Yeah.
But it is some black creators on there. I'm sure they got some black writers in there too. I should have looked that up, to be honest. Y'all let me know in the comments. Go look it up for me. But I'm sure they got some black writers. Some of the things they said was kind of like it wasn't too far off from the culture. Okay. But overall, pretty good show. Again, 6 out of 10. It was cool. We enjoyed it. Y'all need to go watch it. Get your own thoughts, opinions on it. If you just watch a couple episodes, then come back to this and leave your commentary below. It's appreciated. Let us know what your thoughts are. Afro, let them know where they can find you at.
Oh, thank you. First off, thank you for having me again. You can find me on Afro Elite on YouTube. Just search in the search bar Afro Elite on YouTube. You can find me Afro Elite pretty much everywhere. Afro Elite on Instagram, Afro Elite the Afro Elite on Twitter, and then Afro Elite on TikTok, because I'm finally back on TikTok, y'all. So, Afro Elite everywhere. You can find me.
We let us see it. Okay. Well, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you coming on my show. This was fun. We got to do this again. Okay.
Yes, we do. I enjoyed this.
Good commentary. Yeah, for sure. I enjoyed this as well. But again, y'all go check out the show. Even if you're not, baby, just watch the stream. You ain't got it. I mean, you ain't got to. You can take our word for it. But
you should. Yeah.
You can. Yeah. You should. Really, really. But again, go get your own opinion. Go watch the show and check it out. It's a pretty good show. It's on HBO Max. It's called Young Love. But that is all, y'all. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, leave your comments below, share the stream, all that, baby. Other than that, that's all I got. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. B1, peace.
We do not play but I green. You fuck with the team. Might find your West in the creek. We crossing our T's. We don't never miss it.